referring to the fair use, and I'm out of discussion. I don't give fair compensation rather than fair use. What does artificial intelligence mean for the future of music? Could it be the ultimate collaborator helping artists to reach new heights of creativity? Or is it a game changer that threatens to replace music producers and composers altogether? Especially with people flooding the market with AI productions in hope to make a quick dollar. Is AI the future of music? Or is it a little too close for comfort? Let's uncover the truth together, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and let's get started. It's been a short period of time, but there's already been a crazy amount of progress when it comes to AI in music and music production, or our lives in general. Whether you need help coming up with an idea, doing mixing and mastering, or isolating audio signal, anything seems possible. Even entire songs are just a prompt away. AI is advancing in every part of life, and to be honest, it's kinda scary. With tools like Suno or Udio, fully AI created music is ready to flood the market and DSPs like Spotify. So on one hand, AI in music production can help musicians in their production process. On the other hand, it's a threat of being replaced. And there are so many questions unanswered. There are regulations missing and governments cannot react as fast as AI is advancing. This means there's a future ahead of us that we cannot predict precisely, but we can discuss the impact AI already has on music in the music industry. There are a lot of producers that use AI as a collaborator in their production workflow, and as a collaborator, as a tool, it's simply fantastic what you can do. But it seems in the world of music production that most producers are still very reluctant when it comes to AI or including AI in their production workflow and production process. To put this into context, here are some figures from a survey I found conducted by Tracklib in 2024, where they asked around 1,000 music producers. 25% of the producers are using AI in their creation of music. And among these 25%, a large majority use it primarily for stem separation. I can totally recommend UVR, by the way, for stem separation. Less than a half use it for mastering and EQ plugins. A much smaller percentage uses AI to generate elements for tracks, and very few use it to create entire songs. And that's a good thing.
That's good, that's good, that's good!
And now what is very important on this topic overall. There's a huge differentiation between generative AI, so AI that generates entire songs or whole elements for a song, and assistive AI that assists you in your production process, like when it's doing your mastering, for example, like Ozone can do. Interesting fact, by the way, while many producers are neutral or in favor of assistive AI, most of them have a negative view on generative AI. And I can totally relate on this one. So the opportunities of AI are especially in AI as a tool, as a collaborator, as I already mentioned. But when it comes to productions, to complete productions, entire songs, the whole thing gets a whole more complicated. That brings me to the next chapter and the core of this video. We want more people to create music and not just consume music, says the CEO of Udio. And it's a statement that leaves me with mixed feelings. After thousands and thousands of hours improving my craft, learning and developing to get better as a music producer, I'm not cheering the fact that now everybody can generate and release music when they type in a prompt. Don't get me wrong, democratizing music is great. And we music producers already benefited from measures that democratized music in the past a lot. Just think about your MIDI keyboard or plugins you use when you're a music producer. It's all this technology that made production and making music much easier. It's also the case with AI, but it's on a whole other level. I mean, we're discussing rules and regulations when it comes to generative AI, but we never discussed rules or regulations when it comes to a MIDI keyboard. Well, obviously, because it wasn't necessary, because the impact a MIDI keyboard had is not as big as the impact AI already has and will be in music production. And that's the huge difference. And whenever you hear a data scientist talking about this whole topic, their argumentation lacks some societal logic. Besides from that, complete AI productions lack the human experience and emotional depth that imbue music with authenticity and resonance. And that's a good thing, because this means there's still hope for us music producers.
Bah, humans.
Generative AI follows patterns, but when we look at music history, it's often those songs that break the rules and have different patterns than the others that make true history. So AI probably won't be the death of creativity, but that doesn't mean it's an empty threat for musicians and music producers. What is actually terrifying and disruptive about AI technology has little to do with aesthetics or creativity. The issue is artists' lives and livelihoods. It is unlikely that the next Taylor Swift song will be AI generated, but the next commercial jingle you hear or the next ambient music in your favorite podcast definitely will be. Whether you enjoy it or even notice it, these types of music have historically been made by people, real human beings. But this already has and will be changed. This leads to ethical and legal implications. The rise of AI-generated music raises questions about copyright, artist compensation, and the potential displacement of human roles within the industry. And still, where it might seem great that everybody can now create music, and most people might use generators for fun rather than to rival trained musicians, their work, if they choose to release it, still crowd the market. At a time where there's suspicion that Spotify hires studios to create cheap or even AI-generated music to crowd their own playlists, this is bad news.
And this will go horribly wrong.
Because independent and smaller artists depend on the algorithmic playlists or the official playlists of Spotify. And now when they crowd their playlists with AI-generated content or cheap music, they don't have to pay royalties. If you want to know more about this shady things Spotify is doing, just search for perfect fit content. But this is also something I will cover in an entire video. But let's have a closer look on the two major risks and issues AI-generated music has on the industry. Spotify doesn't pay well. That's nothing new. And if you're the average type of musician like me, you don't make a living alone from streaming services. But it's still part of an income stream. And when you think about that you spend a lot of hours creating one song and that this tiny amount of streaming revenue could now go potentially to AI generated production where someone's only work was to type in a prompt, this hurts. No. It's estimated that by 2028 that such content might account for about 20% of traditional music streaming platforms' revenues, potentially leading to a 24% reduction in artists' income, equating to $22 billion lost over 5 years. Ouch. And there are already a lot of examples of AI-generated tracks that have millions of streams. But well, Spotify is not planning on banning AI music. Obviously. And then there's the problem I mentioned earlier regarding contract work. Music like jingles, ambient music, and things like that. And when you think about it, a gig that AI does is a 100% loss for a musician that doesn't get the contract. This means we have to look at the root of all this, because there's a much bigger issue and a much bigger scandal, in my opinion, when we look at how AI-generated music is actually created. AI models often require extensive data sets, and it's the same with AI-generated music. And when you consider that this AI-generated music that is based upon copyrighted material is now uploaded to streaming platforms like Spotify or Apple Music and is generating revenues there, it's kind of double effed up.
Really fight her.
No wonder that the industry, notably the three major labels, are suing Suno and Udio in that matter in the US. And well, Suno and Udio openly admit that they use copyrighted material to train their models. In their defense, they are pushing back, referring to the so-called Fair Use Index. The Fair Use Index allows the use of protected material, for example for quoting, research or certain non-commercial purposes. European law, by the way, has no such thing like fair use or Fair Use Index, but they will still closely look on the outcome of this lawsuit. The thing is that the outcome of this lawsuit will likely take years. And in the meantime, Suno Suno and Udio and similar companies will continue their fair use.
What? No way.
Anyway, we're also talking about the major labels right here, and if they win the lawsuit, or if they don't win the lawsuit, it's very likely that the outcome won't impact a smaller or independent artist that much, since the major labels only want to protect their own catalogs. But prove me wrong, I like to be surprised. By the way, while researching this video, Anthropic, an AI safety and research company founded by former members of OpenAI and several record labels, have signed a court settlement in the US. The AI provider declares that its AI models will no longer output copyrighted lyrics and will not use them as the basis for producing similar lyrics. Well, it's a first victory for the music industry, but it's far from over. However you perceive AI in general or in the music industry, it is likely here to stay. So the central question is, what do we make of it and how do we use it? As a collaborator in music production, it is a very powerful tool. You can use it to speed up your workflow, to get new inspiration or unlock new levels of creativity. So when you just use the power of AI and human, so machine and human united. I know it sounds very dramatic, but I think you get the point, right? On a larger scale, especially when we're talking about generative AI, there are still a lot of questions unanswered and we need to discuss them and also regulate generative AI. We need AI companies to respect copyright or ensure fair compensation if they use copyrighted material to train their AI models, and not referring to the fair use, and I'm out of discussion, I don't give fair compensation rather than fair use.
Please, please. Pretty please.
We also need DSPs to react on that matter. I mean, we're flagging AI generated material on social media like Instagram or TikTok, so why don't we use those AI generated labels also on streaming platforms? As a musician, distributors are among the first that finally reacted. For example, TuneCore has launched its AI and data protection program that aims to protect their artists' music from being used by third-party companies to create new content distributed on digital platforms without their consent. It's invite only, but by my information, even smaller artists should have received an invitation by now, if they use TuneCore as the distributor. Another initiative comes from Lender with their Fair Trade AI program that aims to compensate artists by allowing their content to be used in the training of AI music production tools. I don't have any experience on the effectiveness of these programs, but I think it's a good start and the first step towards the right direction. As a listener, good old methods are still the most effective ones, so if you want to support your favorite artist, just buy their songs on Bandcamp or Beatport, or stream their songs anywhere else than Spotify because everybody else is paying better than Spotify. Just a thought. You can also consume music more conscious. So if you stumble upon a new artist and like the music, just do your research a little bit. Search their social media profiles, and if you don't see any social media profiles or the social media profiles are just empty, it's likely that this is an AI artist, an AI generated music. So maybe, just maybe listen to a real artist. I know that's a lot to ask, but just keep that in mind. And if you use music generators, please do us all a favor and don't upload the results to streaming platforms or music distribution shops. Do it for fun, or I don't know, upload them to social media if you must, but not to streaming platforms. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I don't think you'll regret it.
There are still so many things to say, but I have to end this video eventually. So to wrap this whole topic up, let's just listen to what ChatGPT has to say to conclude this video.
In summary, AI's impact on the music industry is multifaceted, offering avenues for growth and efficiency while posing challenges related to revenue distribution, legal rights, and employment. Ongoing dialogue among creators, industry leaders, and policymakers is crucial to navigate this evolving landscape effectively.
Yep, but it will take time.